Second hour of LoveBabz, LoveTalk. I'm Babz Rawls-Ivy. I am delighted this morning, and you're listening to us on 103.5 WNHH, and we're live streaming everywhere on social media. So I know you all are watching on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Twitch and all the places that you get your social media, because I know you tell me every time. Thank you very much. So I'm delighted to have back, he's one of my early guests, Karl Franz Williams. He's the owner of 67 Orange Street in Harlem, but we know him and love him from Anchor Spa, New Haven. Hello! You got to unmute yourself. There you go.
There we go.
It's nice to see you.
It's great to see you as well.
How you doing?
I'm pretty good. It's been a minute.
I know. Wait, the last time we actually talked, the baby hadn't even arrived. That's the last time. Now, I've seen the baby on social media, but how old is the baby now?
Wait, seriously? It's been that long? Has it been 3 years?
Yes.
No, he turned 3 in May, so.
Whoa!
You know.
Oh my gosh! That's nice, right?
Yeah.
Are you enjoying it?
Oh man, being a dad is like probably the coolest thing I've ever done. I've done some cool things.
Yes, you have. You're an engineer and.
But this takes the cake, man.
Modeling and all these kinds of things, but this is
this takes the cake.
So how have you fared through the pandemic?
You know, it's like as good and as bad as it could get. It's sort of like, you know, as crazy as that sounds. So you know, so for perspective, right? I mean, obviously I'm in the restaurant business, bar business, and we're one of the industries that's been the hardest hit.
Yes.
So, you know, you have that sort of context and just trying to figure out and all the figuring out. We can go into detail on that. But if I'm painting sort of the overall big picture, you know, I live in New York City, which is, you know, probably the hardest hit large city. Mm-hmm. I got COVID very early on. So I had the experience of actually having it and struggle there. My lady, you know, now my fiance, she wasn't my fiance when we spoke last time, but she is now. Getting married in September. Very excited.
All right, get ready for the electric slide. Let's go.
Yeah, man. So she is a critical care nurse. So she, for the entire pandemic, was basically, you know, on the front lines working with, so she worked in the cardiac ICU, which when COVID really hit became a COVID ICU. So back in March, you know, at the end of March is when I got it. At that point, everybody that she saw who got it was dying.
Oh.
So you're watching people dying, and the crazy thing is she loves to point this out, which is that I gave it to her, not the other way around. You know.
Did you have to go to the hospital? I mean, did you spend time in the hospital?
I went to the emergency room a couple times. They sent me home. They were like, "You can breathe, go home." It was one of those kind of things, but it was at the point where they weren't even testing people at that early stage. You know, like, it looks like you have it, so I guess you got it. Sorry, I mean, come back if you can't breathe and stand up. You know, and then you come back, you're like, I'm having a problem breathing. My chest hurts, all this other stuff, and they're just like, well, you're not dead. You can move, so you know, you're not like literally. The doctor told me, if you were able to walk here, right now, you know, you're okay.
Oh boy.
But it was. I mean, I was down for about 10 days. You know, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. not a lot of people like, Valerie, my fiance, she literally had it for, maybe a day. She had a fever and a headache for a day, and it was gone. My son has the antibodies, so obviously he had it too. But it was probably, it was obviously asymptomatic because he never had a single symptom. But they're both, he's a toddler, she's younger than me, and I'm black male in my 40s, and sort of black and brown men, and in our 40, 50, 60 were the ones having the hardest time with it. So
yeah.
But anyway, after
I'm
about 10
glad
days.
you're well. I'm so glad you're well.
Yeah. It took about maybe 2 or 3 months for the chest pains to go away. That was the hardest part. But I was back to my normal routine after about 2 weeks. So,
really?
Yeah. So it was, just dealing with the symptoms. I know it's no longer had it. It's just that sometimes some of the symptoms tend to linger a lot longer.
Yes, they call it the long COVID. Long COVID. It takes a while for it to.
So we experienced COVID in its entirety. From the most brutal aspects. My fiance dealt with some of the. I remember calling her one day, and it was she was like, "Karl, I can't talk right now. I gotta go." And just as she was about to hang up the phone, I hear this like scream. I can still hear it. Apparently, it was a young guy. He was an Uber driver in his late 30s, no underlying conditions, and he had just died, and his wife had walked in and heard, and they can't let you in the room, so she couldn't even go in the room, but she just heard that he had literally just died, like seconds before I called. She had to deal with stuff like that happening daily, wrapping warm bodies that people who had just passed away, doing last calls on Zoom, and FaceTime. It was rough.
Gotta take her somewhere damn good for a honeymoon.
Well, I exactly. I'm marrying her. I gave her a nice fat ring. And
yeah, that's lovely and all, but make sure you take her someplace, and then you know what else? You gift her own little trip.
Yeah, no.
Not that she doesn't love you, but I'm just saying, a little decompression time by yourself is a healthy thing. So yeah.
It was COVID was real for us. We experienced it in a way that, like I said, because my business is the bar business. So as soon as COVID hit, we closed for about a week in both places and sort of figured out what we were going to do. And then we started a takeout cocktail program.
Okay.
So I was doing that. I was the primary person because my GM at that point, he was the first to get COVID. He got COVID the week before. He got COVID as we were shutting down. So he started feeling the symptoms the week that, that they closed, the March 16th around, so right around that time. And then I started feeling it. So he actually gave it to me, is what I believe. but so for that first week, I was the only person in the bar. I was making these to-go drinks, and I'm at 67 Orange, and we didn't open Anchor that week. It was the following week. We had our GM, Rashik. He was going up to do the same thing. But yeah, I was there doing the to-go cocktails, and then I started feeling funny. And
boy.
And then I had, so we were closed for about 2 weeks while I recovered. And then other than that, we've been open the entire time through the entire pandemic. So, but we had the ups and downs, the sitting there every day, listening to the news, waiting for Cuomo to say something, trying to figure out like what regs or how this was going to work or what the next step was or how we were going to manage it. Get something, lose something, all the back.
Now, were you talking to other bar owners? Because you have you created a a connection of sorts in Harlem with other business owners, because I saw the nice little video of it on
Okay.
Instagram. Like, it was really well done. I was like, hey.
Thank
So I mean, it was really well done.
you.
So did you talk to other people? Because did you feel isolated, or did you feel like you could talk to other owners of
No, I mean,
businesses?
I really feel like one of the key reasons, and I would say, despite everything I've just said, we actually did really well through the pandemic. I mean, and I'm talking our businesses both, dropped to about 20%. And then, before the second shutdown, we were up to 80+% of our pre-pandemic levels. And then, dropped back to about 40% during the second shutdown. And now both businesses are at or above 100%, so
Okay.
1 month out. So we were able to secure all this other CARES Act funds that we needed to along the way. Able to stay on top of our obligations and work out deals with our landlords in both scenarios. So it was, I mean, was able to navigate. And when you think about it, I feel like our situation was particularly complex when you consider my partner and her work, and then both having two places, both trying to survive the same thing. But one of the you hit on it. One of the keys to being able to successfully ride that out for us was was like a collaboration, and it was this sort of community aspect of being able to have these conversations. So Harlem Park to Park is the organization in Harlem of local business owners. We started out as a group of 9 back in 2019. All of us were struggling. Today there's over 250. It's a large organization, and but the board's still a small group of folks, from that original group of 9. And we were on the phone from day one, talking through how we were going to do what we could do, strategizing together. Obviously, with the idea that we need to be able to get this information out and support a larger membership, but it definitely helped to be able to have those conversations constantly. I'm also on the board of the New York Hospitality Alliance, and again, it's a larger group. It's but it kind of touches the entire city, and that organization also gave me a great opportunity to have these conversations. And so when you're having these kind of conversations, it's not just giving you information; it's giving you intel. And the way I sort of separate the two, information is sort of more widely available. Intel are those that little bit of knowledge, little secrets, those things that are happening when they're happening, that give you a competitive edge. And so I highly recommend to anyone, if you're a small business owner, if you're looking for how to position yourself and win in the market, make sure you join local organizations that can give you intel, that can get you that step ahead and sort of knowing what's coming, when it's coming, how it's coming, so you can prepare and plan effectively.
So do you have a support structure like that in place in New Haven? Like, I don't know I know there's business associations, the Chamber of Commerce. I think there's town green relations, and all kinds of Market New Haven kinds of stuff. So did you feel like you had support here in New Haven?
Yeah, I mean, we have, I guess, I've sort of been. So there's a loose connection of other business owners in the area who I'll sometimes talk to. Glenn, who's right next door with the Owl Shop, Tim over at The Ordinary. We would have conversations from time to time. But we've also always, felt like outsiders. Like, we're this Black-owned bar downtown in the center of downtown, and it's kind of like there's a couple other Black-owned places sold to sold to Cuba and Be Natural Kitchen.
Yeah.
But they're different. They're like sort of restaurants, but a bar downtown, that's us, right? And so we've always felt like kind of outsiders. And so we did feel sort of like less a part of the conversation that was happening, and but we were, we had all that we were doing in New York as sort of a benchmark, a footprint, blueprint of what we could do. And so that meant that we were communicating our butts off. That was one of the things we saw really work for us was, we were barely doing email newsletters. All of a sudden we had a cadence. They were out once or twice a week. We were on social more than before. We just had to, everyone was searching for information. So the more consistent we could be in giving it, the better. We were able to really, because things really slowed down in the world in general, and particularly in our business, we were able to really focus and refine what we were doing. I think what started to happen was people around us started to notice what we were doing. And they were like, wow, that's, we see them doing this to go cocktail thing. We see the efforts they're doing, the newsletter, the communications, all that. And, there started to be more people reaching out to us just to say, hey, we see what you're doing. Maybe you can join in our effort with this, or, are you going to, or do you have an opinion on this? Or do you think we could try this? And so then we were happy to do that, happy to get involved. It was like, glad you guys asked us, thank you for asking us. It hasn't happened before, but now that you're asking us, is what we think, is what we can do, and that made a difference. And it led to, I was just elected a commissioner for Town Green in the new slate of folks that started in July.
Oh,
I couldn't imagine, that would have happened, a year ago, pre-pandemic. No one even knew who I was, right? So it was, that community is grown for us now. I do feel that we're a little bit more part. We're still the anchor. We're still the oddballs out, in a sense. But I do feel more connected than I did then. And, we're able to take some of this knowledge that we're building and bring it to to New Haven.
So Karl, this was such a we're still in the midst of it. It was such a worldwide thing. Does it give you pause or gives you thought about being prepared for something like a pandemic coming back around? Like, this is a life-altering kind of thing. Do you think about how you run your business a little differently? Do you say, you know what, next time around we should do this or do that? Do you have those moments, or do you think about that? Can you even think like that?
Yeah, no, I think that I do think the world, we all learned collectively a lot, right? None of us would have been able to truly, to survive this if it wasn't for the, some of the funding sources that were released. And in my entire business career, I have never seen, even, pre the Great Recession, when you could get a loan to, that's why there was a mortgage crisis. They were just giving money away at ridiculous rates. They didn't really care if you could afford it, right? And, there still wasn't as much, and it wasn't great money then, right? It was expensive money. I haven't seen this much money being available for small business owners ever before. There are real hurdles, and there are real reasons why even this money ran into challenges in terms of how it was distributed, or how the depth of which it was able to impact Black businesses and communities of color. A lot of that stuff gets into institutional and systemic issues that have developed as a result of both racism and segregation and classism and unequal distribution of wealth and all that, right? So all those things, those factors played into even this. So you have this money that in theory is completely democratic. You literally have to just have a payroll record and you got PPP, right, as an example. And that that created a hurdle, as simple as that was, right? But I've never seen, and so I hope that those lessons remain with our elected officials and our government, so that that if there is a situation like this again, they're prepared to do these things, and to do them more consistently. There was a lot through the pandemic of, sort of, let's do it this way. No, sorry, correction. Let's do it this way. In New York City, we had these street terrazas, and when you first did it, you could literally just, go put a tape line outside and you were good to go. And all of a sudden, like, no, this is great. Like, I know you probably spent whatever buying your planners and whatever, but scrap it all. It has to be built like with this sort of dimensions and all that. Lots of us lost money on that. But there were a lot of sort of like start and stop kind of are changing the rules along the way, as they sort of figured it all out. But ultimately, I think there was a good job done, and the right things got figured out. The red tape got cut. Getting a sidewalk permit in New York used to take 6 months and cost up to $10,000 or more just to get that done. This was a situation where they were able to turn it around and anyone could get a sidewalk cafe, or sidewalk permit, and so there was a lot of things, a lot of adjustments that were made to be able to respond to the need. And so we need to codify those things and keep those options available. So that if there is a next time, and hopefully there won't be in my lifetime, but if there is, then we know how to respond and how to move. That being said, for us individually, and specifically for my businesses, one of the ways the businesses that found themselves in the best position to survive this had cash on hand. And there were actually several early studies that looked at the differences between Black-owned businesses and white-owned businesses, and the amount of cash they had on hand for the average Black business was about 2 weeks of cash, as opposed to 2 to 3 months of cash for the white businesses. And so, pandemic happens, we're all trying to figure this out. We were losing businesses because by the time the resources got there, they had run out of cash and they couldn't afford to wait it out any longer. We were able to respond, and luckily we didn't have cash, but we did have, we were able to respond quick enough that we were able to see results happen. We were able to get quick deals with our landlords. It also helped, and so those things made it possible for us to survive until we were able to get the cash from, the programs that the PPP and eventually the other programs that came out, EIDL and the like. But it did mean that, one of the learnings for me is just that. Like, I don't want to ever be in a position where we don't have some liquidity available, in case there's some sort of disruption. So that would probably be the biggest one for us. We don't ever want to be that cash poor again. And making sure that we have that, have reserves.
So how does it feel to have people come back to the spots? Because you have loyal customers in both places.
You know what? It's amazing. It feels really, really good. And like it's so funny. The first day they said you could sit at the bar again. It was so awesome. I mean, and it took a little while before I got to go sit at someone else's bar, but just to sit at my own bar and actually sit at the bar, as opposed to having to sit at a table, felt so good. So every step has felt good. I love the fact that right now we don't have the restrictions anymore, because that was always the hardest part about it. The restrictions were right, and it was important that they were there, and they protected us all. But you also had the challenge of enforcing them. And throughout the pandemic, we had guests who, for whatever reason, did not feel that they wanted to follow the rules. Right? They were like, why do I have to sit at the bar? Why can't I just stand here and have a drink? Which wasn't allowed for even once we allowed bar seating in Connecticut, you still couldn't stand at the bar. And you still had to keep 6 feet distance between groups, and people were like, I go to a bar to hang out. I want to get close to the person next to me. I want to be able to say hi, and so it was literally fighting against human nature in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like people go to bars for connection, and so and so what that meant for us was this extra logistical step of making sure that we protected our staff and our guests and kept the rules enforced. And so we did a lot of that was a lot of effort and work to be able to do, and we were able to do it successfully. Cleaning in between and making sure the masks were on all the time, and making sure people were seated and separated and all that, keeping the distancing. But again, it was certainly a burden to do that, and to not have to do that anymore. To actually walk in and see people crowding around the bar and not go, oh my God, what are we gonna do? I gotta fix this. I gotta get these people seated. I mean, like this is like I remember like just that like, oh my God, like you would see a group of people and you would freak out, and it's so cool that like I mean I can't tell you how nice it is. I mean I still freak out for a second. I'm like, and I'm like, okay, it's okay. It's okay. They're probably vaccinated. It's all good, right? But it is nice to not have to worry about that anymore.
So what's the dream moving forward? What do you want moving forward? You've come through this full circle. COVID. Mm-hmm. Your fiance works in this field. You've got a 3-year-old who's growing. And so what's the dream now? What does Karl want next after this big fancy wedding where we all going to do the electric slide?
Well, so the thing that the pandemic actually for me was a great time for sort of, the whole world got quiet for a second. And so there wasn't as much noise, and noise as broadly as you want to define that, right? So that allowed, at least for me, a chance to sort of think and reset and restructure. And I am proud to say that, my family and my businesses are all in a better place today than we were in February of 2020 before the pandemic hit, And I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of what we were able to do during that time frame, that reset, restructure, sort of, plan and rebuild and all that. And so to be in this position today, having come out better for the experience is something that I'm very proud of. And so now for me, some of it's just building on that momentum. Building on one of the things that, because we responded the way we did, it got a lot of people interested in just hearing what I had to say. And if you go and you look at my Instagram, you see pictures of my life and sort of things. And then you see the pandemic hit, and it's like article after story after commentary after that. People really got interested in hearing what I have to say, and I always had a lot to say. Maybe people just didn't know, but I always had a lot to say. So it's some of it. So it's this voice that like putting my voice out there and continuing to like. I've learned a lot. I've been in the restaurant business now for 16 years. Prior to that, I was in brand management for 10 years. And, so my career has been business. I've learned a lot over that time. So there's a lot that I can bring to the table, a lot of information that I have that I'm excited to put out there. From a business standpoint, the businesses, like I said, are both doing very well right now. We feel stronger than we have felt. So I want to make sure that we effectively codified that so we can keep there and continue to maintain and grow from where we are today. Mm-hmm. Because they're stable and steady right now, which is great, it allows me to do some other things. So later this summer, August, I'm launching a new product. It's a ginger beer. I should have actually had a bottle with me
Because your roots are Caribbean, right? Your roots are Caribbean.
Yeah, yeah. My family's from St. Vincent.
Okay.
My fiance's family's from Jamaica. So we're all the way Caribbean. So it's a ginger beer.
Well, that's what I think when I hear ginger beer, I immediately think Caribbean. That's my mind just goes there, right? Like,
yeah. So it's a ginger beer. It's super unique as far as ginger beers go. But we the response has been amazing to anyone who's tasted it, and so we secured we're launching in Whole Foods actually, which is an accomplishment I'm very proud of. It's not easy to start in Whole Foods, but we're going to be in Whole Foods and select bars and restaurants, a couple retailers initially, and we're going to build some momentum and then scale from there. But I'm very excited. It's called Uncle Wakely's Ginger Beer. Uncle Wakely's Vincey Brew. So Uncle Wakely's my grandfather. Vincey is our island. So, St. Vincent. So super excited about it.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the really the next big thing for me. And it's full circle. So it kind of ties my entire career together. The first 10 years of CPG, consumer products, good marketing, and particularly with a beverage focus for the last 7 years at Pepsi. So that portion of the career, my last job at Pepsi was innovation, designing, creating new products for Pepsi, and then putting together the launch campaigns for those. So this feels very like, appropriate for me now.
This is yours. Yes. So this is yours. So it's like, let me take those skills and put it over here for my own product.
Exactly. With the whole restaurant and bar thing, and, having been a restaurant owner, like I said, now for 16 years, a mixologist for 10, having refined those skills, this just brings it all together. So I'm excited about this launch.
Wow. It is so good to see you. Thank you for your time today. Don't let it take another 3 years, Karl.
But that's on you. I'm right down the road. You let me know. I'm happy to jump on anytime.
I was like, 3 years? Like, what? Yeah, like, don't let it be 3 years. And I can't wait to see these beautiful wedding pictures show up on Instagram. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, are y'all getting married here? I mean, in New York, or are you going to go to the Caribbean, or?
Yeah, we're headed down to the Caribbean. We chose a neutral island, so so we're getting married in St. Lucia.
Oh, lovely! You know what? I have a good friend who is from St. Lucia, and who lives here, and it is such a beautiful place. So you couldn't have chosen a better
gorgeous.
Place. Yes. Couldn't have chosen a better place in my book. So
yeah.
Well, I so appreciate seeing you. I'm so glad you are well and doing well.
Thank you.
Glad Anchor Spa is thriving and Seven Orange is thriving, and I'm just happy. So I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. It's great to see you too. I love the purple.
Oh, old ladies got to stay vibrant.
Yeah, I love it. It's bright. The color. It looks great.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that from a younger man. I appreciate it. Thank you. Well, let's stay in touch, because I want to know all of this, and maybe I'll get a chance to taste the new ginger beer.
Absolutely. Well, it will be at the Anchor when we launch, so you'll be able to pop in and.
I will definitely pop in. So it's good to see you, Karl.
Great to see you too, Babz.
And take good care.
All right, you too.
All right. Bye-bye. Harry, where are you? Find my producer. Oh, I just love this conversation. I love catching up with people who I've talked to early, and in this case, 3 years ago. But it's good. He seems very different. He seems very at peace and very happy, and that's a good thing. I'm happy to see that. So I think I have to make my way to Anchor Spa and get me a cocktail. That's what I'm going to do. So, and I hope y'all join me. I'll broadcast from over. I'll take some pictures, whatever. Come on downtown to the Anchor Spa and have a drink one of these old days. All right, Harry, play me out so we can go on about our business. There Harry is. Harry, we got to go. Hope Harry's all right. Probably somewhere cleaning. Okay, it's time to go. So glad we are together just to sit and laugh with some song. Just get started, and before we know it, comes the time we have to say so long. But Harry's about to leave. I'll see y'all. I'm back tomorrow. And I think tomorrow my guest is I know I have a guest tomorrow. I know it, I know it, I know it. Caesar Alleman, who is the new director of this um, collab between Community Foundation and Hartford and somebody else. So he's going to come on and talk about the goals and what they hope to do, what it's all about. So I'm on my way out. I will see y'all. I'm gonna take myself out. Deuces.